Good evening and welcome to today's program. Thank you for joining us, and we have a lot on the plate today. But before I go anywhere, I'd like to pass my condolences to the family of Mr. James Mwamba. Mr. James Mwamba, especially well known from the diaspora community, passed on the other day during his sleep. He was not unwell, and his death caught us by surprise. James Mwamba used to pioneer what is called the Mwamba Peer Awards, and I was privileged to be guest of honor on the Mwamba Peer Awards in 2020. A lot of people received awards. James was keen to promote our country. He was keen to be Zambia's best ambassador. In his own initiative, he just thought that we needed to paint a good picture of our country, and he was based in the US, and he kept on, encouraging people that were doing well. I remember in 2017, I was in South Africa, doing my work, and James appreciated someone had written a letter to the editor in the Times of Zambia in June 2017. And James picked that letter. I didn't even see it myself. Put it on his page and promoted it. He says, I agree with the people praising Emmanuel Mwamba. He's made a difference in the at the South African High Commissioner and to the diaspora community in South Africa. And we began to talk. And in 2020, I was privileged to be co-guest of honor for the awards that were done in 2020. So my condolences to his wife, to his spouse, to the diaspora community, especially the diaspora community in the US, my deepest condolences. I thought we could start with that message of condolences. As usual, you'll be able to call us on 0973 04 5292 and 0974 808 115. Your calls make this program what it is. We want to be interactive. I will provide analysis, but essentially it's your program. We want to hear from you. What's on the plate today? So before I go to what is on the plate today, there are just a couple of things we need to do. There's a video by the president. He was in Chisamba at the 2023 Agritech Expo. This is an agricultural expo. I think it comes every year. I think it was started somewhere in 2013, 2014. But it essentially promotes agricultural equipment, tractors, center pivots, irrigation equipment, pesticide, and it pioneers new technology. So the president was in Samba, and he made remarks where he said the social media users, he thinks that they should take a break. First listen to the president and I make my remarks.
Zambians, step up. Kudandaula too much by social media. Kukachachabe in social media. Icha. Come forward. Become a small investor. Become a small investor. I scan these platforms. I see 02 guys are hammering, and all they're doing is just talk. Reserve some of that time. Put it in 1 hectare, 2 hectares. Buy center pivot from Mr. Ashok Saro, and you will see that it will take you away from social media. Go to social media to get market data, technology information, where to buy at a lower price. That's what you need social media. Of course, greet your family members, but not 24/7 social media.
So as you saw, the president was bemoaning that, even at 02, when he checks social media, people are hammering him. We are all hammering him. And what is funny about this video is that the president is called the Facebook president because he utilized social media to a very large extent. And his win is attributed to young people that responded not in newspapers, but mostly on social media. And to see him, condemn the heavy usage of social media, I think is what has attracted comments. Of course, there were positive remarks where he's urging all of us to, speak to, use social media for good purposes, such as use it for market information, use it to get prices. But essentially, it's those remarks. And, many people mocked him. Mr. President, they are hammering you for sure because you haven't delivered on your promises. Deliver on your promises and you receive praises from social media. Another matter of interest is President Edgar Lungu. He's been up and about, and he does, he's running, he's jogging on Saturday, and, many people join him. This afternoon, he was with 2 archbishops. I thought that is remarkable. Archbishop Telesfo Mpundu, the right Archbishop is Grace, and the current, they are both, the one is previous and the one is current. There've been some debate around the president and his activities, and I thought that was also very important, but I think the consultation the president is doing is very good. It elevates him to that of a statesman, and is one to call upon for advice. Even the current president must call upon him. What is on our topic today? So we are discussing the Food Reserve Agency. They issued a Gazette notice, and they opened the crop marketing season. I thought that was too early. I was scanning the records for the year. I think that was a bit too early. Too early. Usually the crop marketing season opens around July. This is to allow farmers to bring their crops that comply with the moisture content. You are aware that if you store maize far earlier, you will attract diseases, you will attract moths, and if people consume it, they can actually have very serious diseases. That is why the crop marketing season is opened by July, and it's usually preceded by an announcement by the Minister of Agriculture, who issues a statement announcing also floor prices. FRA usually does buy above the floor price, and the grain traders, millers also do buy above the floor price that the minister sets. But in this case, the minister has not issued a statement. The minister has not set a floor price. FRA has announced this price, and they haven't announced any price, but they've opened the season. I saw the first company, Agricorp, I think, that, we have the first caller, and we encourage callers all the time. Good evening, and tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Lawrence calling you from Mansa, Wapula.
Lawrence from Wapula.
Yes. How are you, Mr. Mwamba?
I'm very well, Lawrence. What is your contribution today?
Okay, today I just want to make a few comments on the farming crop marketing season.
Yes.
The government actually opened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to be honest, it's too early.
Mm-hmm.
Too early, because this time around, as we are saying, most of the people have not even harvested their maize.
Mm-hmm.
It's still wet, I can say so. It's not yet ready.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so I think the government is just too fast, and opening the crop marketing season, more especially when it comes to maize. Looking at the situation where we are today with the shortage of maize and the like, people, because when they open this marketing season, like more especially some of us who are here in the border area of Zambia, like Congo.
Mm-hmm.
So these traders will start now coming, wanting to get those small or quantity of product that these people have actually cultivated. So it's too early. It's too early, I can say so. And then coming to the issue of the statement the president issued that we are hammering him on social media.
And na 02 you say you are hammering him. Napa 02.
I think what I can say on that issue is instead of telling us that we are hammering him on social media, let him come up with what strategies does he have for the youth in terms of the use of social media. Because as we are saying this time around, him, the owner, is the owner of social media. Because for him to find that youth are still hammering, or people are still hammering him on social media around 02, it means he uses social media too much as well. Yeah, so they should find ways on how they are going to help out, more especially in schools, for example. Because like in my area where we are, even this time around, we are living in a world of technology. We need to be taught on technology marketing, so that these jobs are created. Even on social media, people find something to do. Unlike the issue of just too much using of social media. No. It shouldn't be like that. Let the government come up with issues, more especially with the Ministry of Youth and Sports, in conjunction with the Ministry of Small Scale and Media Enterprises. They should look into it, find ways. What can we do for the youth? What can we do to improve the technology system so that these youth are engaged in marketing using the media? Yes, Mr. Mwamba.
Oh, I'm very grateful, Lawrence. Is that all?
Yes, sure.
Thank you.
I'm following the program, and if the need arises, I'll be back.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Lawrence.
Thank you so much.
So you can call us on 0973 04 5292 or 0974 808 115. We have 3 topics, one on FRA. They've opened the crop marketing season. The other one is on public debt. And the last one is update on NAPSA. What's happening at NAPSA? And let's first deal with the issue of FRA opening a crop marketing season. I think it's as a result of a heightened desperation. They've opened the program too early, almost 3 months earlier. Our farmers use ordinary methods to dry their maize. They don't have kilns, they don't have dryers, they don't have mechanism, they don't have latest technology to dry the maize. So so we use natural elements to dry up the maize. Because for maize and soybeans and other crops, the percentage I was reading about, it should be around 12.5%. But currently, the maize we have across the country, their moisture content is extremely high. But FRA has opened the crop marketing season. And I was looking at, as soon as FRA did that, there is a private company that has also issued a statement, and they are encouraging people to bring maize to them. 4 kwacha 52 ngwe. This translates by 50, I think it was giving us a very, very big amount. I think something that 225 kwacha per 50 kg. That is 225 kwacha per 50 kg. This is good news for the farmer, but what it means to you is that your meal prices is likely going to be higher. And we know trading in the Congo and elsewhere could even be higher. Why? As the private sector and grain traders already moved in as well. And for the grain traders, they even have capacity to dry the maize. They have dryers for storage. Because of these numbers, let me give you the numbers. 3.6 million metric tons in 2021 is what we farmed as maize. 2.7 million metric tons that we farmed as last year, our harvest. Okay, let me take this call. Good evening, and tell us where you are calling us from.
Ambassador Mwamba, good evening.
Good evening.
This is Mushitu calling from within Lusaka.
Mr. Mushitu, good evening.
Mkwaiwa Kalambo, Ambassador.
Murishani Yama.
Lesa Lepala.
Endita.
Just my quick addition on my thoughts about the early opening of maize marketing by FRA.
Yes.
I think it has to do with the rampant shortage of mealie meal around, that maybe they see that they may not have the capacity to handle the crisis which seems to be coming up, so they have to get whatever is available. That's just my thinking.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm following your program, and let me learn from others as well.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mushitu, I'm grateful.
You're welcome.
Mr. Mushitu suggests that FRA's desperation is justified. That's why I was giving you the numbers. First of all, we've had 6.3 million metric tons of maize just the last 2 years. Our national consumption is around 200,000 a month. That's 4.8 million metric tons. So we had excess of 1.5 million metric tons. But remember, for the last 1 year, FRA has been exporting this maize. And even on their own website where I went to, they've actually given a number that by December they had exported over 770,000 metric tons. So the maize is exported. Last week the minister issued a statement that we only have supplies for the national strategic reserves of 352,000, and he had even released of this 352,000, he had released 69,000 to the millers to cushion the price of mealie meal. What this means is that in their national grain storages, in their warehouses, in their sheds, it's empty. That's what it means. It's empty. Let me just reduce the volume. So what we have in the supply is basically less than 1 month supply. That's what we have, less than 1 month. I think it's for this reason that FRA has opened prematurely the farming season, the crop marketing season. Even when the minister hasn't issued a floor price, we don't even know how much our people are supposed to sell their maize. Hello, good evening.
Yes, good evening. How are you, Mr. and President Mwamba?
Very well, my brother. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
I am Anthony Mutonga. I'm calling you within Lusaka Kaplonga.
Yes, Mr. Anton Mutonga. Please contribute to the topic.
I just want to contribute to this issue of FRA.
Yes.
We know that there are a lot of issues in this country.
Yeah.
Allow me to speak in Nyanja so that at least Lambiri Wambere.
Kambani mu chinyanja ina nipunzira chinyanja. I think nzamba no michila imwe wa nyanja chinyanja changa.
I think one UPND government pay plan yosungira more one country. Because if I'm looking at this, why I'm saying so is because for now, as I'm speaking, me as a farmer, for now, when the just I've managed to say good man before me see karibu yuma farms. Farmers. And then they are boasting that they are malaiki. They are boasting that they are malaiki, and then NAPSA. But after puncha kutinanga ni mazambians wangapi wamene basebenza ni group ya wanyanzo wangapi wamene basebenza kulingana na mavillages baina ya village na nisona yapunzile. One. Then kama zesco ni wantu wote wa zesco here mu country bambili ni wene kuyoke ni kuma ni javene using zesco. So when I'm saying this, let's quote the points that they are pointing around that there's a lot of reason at the end. Plan. The government wanapeza mili ya 2019, ya 2020, ya 2021, ya PF. Ya PF. African vakasanda Minister of Information. Ezo zimvero zimvera tikulisako milisi Tanzania ngwaya. Izoenda ku Tanzania milisi, izoenda ku Tanzania milisi. Kwenda mpongo. Meanwhile, va PF na plan. Kama kuti in case of anything, vezongana na yeye, vezanja milisi Afrika tatunga. Veva napenda ke kuona ngakubusha. And we have this information that these people, when they can makaddas yawa, when these are the same people that they are selling fertilizer. These are the people. These are the people they are selling this in that meal when the goods somewhere. People they have got this information.
Thank you, Mr. Mtonga. Let me listen to your brother is calling. There is another gentleman calling.
Yes.
Okay.
Good evening, and tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Good evening, sir. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
I'm calling from Chisari, Chinga province.
Okay, sir. And your name?
Anthony Wadia.
Anton Wadia from Muchinga.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Please proceed with your contribution.
Yes, sir.
Anton Wadia from Muchinga, yes. We lost him. So the numbers are not looking good. We don't have our national strategic reserves. It was almost sold. Almost all of it sold. And I think FRA has been forced to open the crop marketing season earlier. And we've seen the private sector even offer lucrative prices. Per 50 kg bag, they're offering 225 kwacha. Remember, we're selling, farmers were selling, smallholder farmers were selling 50 kg bag of maize to FRA for 180 kwacha last year. Now they are doing it for 225 kwacha, the private sector. And as stated, we had adequate maize. The lack of maize on the market is not that we had famine, we had poor harvest. No, we had 2 consecutive bumper harvests in 2021, 2020 and 2021-2022 seasons. The shortage that we have, the food insecurity that has affected us, is because we exported the bulk of the maize. And where is another crisis? Is because this year, that's why you see the private sector have already moved in. I guess even millers have also moved in. This year, we anticipate that there will be poor harvest. Why? Because under the FISI program that we give fertilizer, we had given very late the farmer input support programs. Good evening, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Good evening, I'm Mr. Tembo Moses. I'm calling from Florida.
Mr. Moses Tembo, please make your call from Muflira.
Yes, please.
Please contribute to the topic under discussion.
Yes, so I agree with you when you say it is wrong to open the market early for the following reasons. One, the rains in some parts of the country, like Copper Belt and going up, have just stopped. So the maize hasn't dried yet. That's number one. Number two, even if the maize hasn't dried, farmers are not willing to sell their maize. Even at 225 kwacha, it is perceived to be low. Imagine if today they are selling per meter between 25 kwacha and 35 kwacha per meter.
Yeah.
Okay? Maximum that gives you 420 kwacha per bag, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So even if you played 225 kwacha, still farmers hold on to their maize. So even if FRA has set their target at 225, which is half what is required.
No, Moses, it's not FRA. So there is an advert that has been issued by a private grain trader. FRA just issued the Gazette notice. There is no prices indicated. I just wanted to clarify.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
If they have issued the Gazette notice to purchase.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even if the private sector has issued the price.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
The private price issued the price. Yes, I've seen both the Gazette and the thing. What they have issued. Yes. So you find that it will be difficult for both of them to buy maize. Farmers would rather hold on to the maize and just sell to ordinary consumers. Okay? because that way they seem to be making more money than the market is offering. You see? So it will be a challenge for FRI even to buy the target they have set, even if it is low. Given the fact that the distribution of fertilizer was poor, and not just poor, but even for those who were buying on their own, it was also expensive in terms of buying. So all those are factors contributing to the supply of maize. So I see that one is going to be a little bit more difficult for whoever wants to buy maize on the market, unless they pledge a higher price, which will push the price of meal higher, the price of stock feed higher, and everything else that has got to maize and maize-related products. So that's what I want to say for now. But then I feel there are issues of data ahead. I'll also add my voice, because I'm following this program closely every evening. At least I take my time to listen. Thank you.
Thank you, Moses. We are so grateful. Thank you for your call.
You're welcome.
Moses is right. We are going to have food insecurity, I have predicted, for the next 2 years. Because the crop this year has suffered because of many factors. Number one, poor FISI program distribution. We have a caller. Good evening.
Good evening, sir. I'm back. To run out of minutes, sir.
Oh, okay. The gentleman from Chinsali, Muchinga, please proceed with your contribution. You said you are Anton Wadia from Muchinga.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
How are you, Mr.
I'm very well, thank you, my dear brother.
Thank you, sir. I just want to comment on the farming season we had for 2022 and 2023 season. Like here in Chinsali Patriotic, we experienced a good rain pattern. The challenge we had is fertilizer. Fertilizer came late, and most of the farmers hoped not to do the farming, thinking maybe the rains might go either before the crops can grow up. Now the good part is the rains has continued, and all the maize have grown up. Now the challenge is most of those that had grown the maize. Their maize are standard because of lack of fertilizer. So we'll be glad, like for this year, if maybe the government will consider to distribute the farming input on time.
Yeah.
People will definitely cultivate more maize, whereby maybe even this crisis of maize we have and the meal shortage we have, maybe it's not going to be there like the way we are encountering it. Because today I went in a village, I met people from the village coming to town, inside town. Imagine me purchasing meal from here, which is not a good thing. People used to go in the village to access maize recently, because people used to cultivate maize in bulk. But this time around, they're coming down just to line up to access millennium.
Yeah.
So if the government consider the program to start distributing the input, people who actually comply well, whereby this crisis of millennium shortage won't be there. Coming to the issue of purchase of maize, maize this time around is on demand. Like for instance, Chinsali is nearby Tanzania. The commodity is on demand. So we don't know how the farmers are going to survive. Because people, they want to make good money out of it. Somebody, we are purchasing one bag of fertilizer at a cost of 1,000. Then at the cost of 1,000, maybe then you only have a small amount of harvest out of that. And then if the FRA is not going to put a good price, definitely people prefer to sell to their crops entities,
Mm-hmm.
of which we are going to have more hunger in our country. So on that one, the government needs to discuss discussion with private sectors.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you. Let me take this other call. Good evening. Tell us where you are calling us from.
Yeah?
Good evening. Tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Yes, this is Emmanuel calling you from Kitwe.
Yes, Mpundue Manyoba mashina mulishani.
President Mushani.
Aofe winole sale tupala. Please, Mpundue Manyo from Kitwe, proceed with your contribution.
Thank you very much. First of all, I just wanted to thank you, the President and the entire Patriotic Front team for the unit which you have shown to the nation that you are still in as a party. And I want to encourage you, the President and the whole entire Patriotic Front. Please be united and don't be distracted by any maneuvers which coming from the so-called New Dawn government. Because on the ground, the people of Zambia have regretted that voting you out as Patriotic Front, it was a very big blunder and mistake. Ugandan people, today we are suffering like this and we are going through a lot because of a decision which was made by us, the Zambian people, without thinking that the people whom we are trusting with the leadership are the people who can save this country. And wow, we are regretting today because of the behavior and the excitement which we had. It was not even to us. That's why today we are going through this situation and a lot of difficulties. We are facing a lot of difficulties because of a decision which was made out of excitement. The President also Emmanuel Mwamba and the whole entire team, please, as if it was a WhatsApp call, you could have been seeing me live, kneeling down to you and the Patriotic Front, especially the whole entire Patriotic Front team and the members. Please, abantu within your party, please flush them out. As the people, we are going to lie behind you and we are in support of you. We have no option. So now we have no option where to go or where to lie. Apart from you, we saw what you gifted us and what you promised us, the Zambian people, and what you did for this country. That's why today we have no option. Because the experiments, that's why we are going through all these difficult conditions and difficult life. Because of the experiment.
Yes.
We want to experiment now. We have stopped now experimenting. Better we brought you back as Patriotic Front. You helped us and you showed us that you are truly a poor political party. Which helps the poor. You be united.
And quiet.
They are popular. They are winning this artificial by-election because of they are intimidating you and they are leading this election. And what they are doing, they are using violence to make sure that they intimidate the voters. So if they win the elections and they show to the world that they are popular. They are not popular in the ground. They are not popular, to be honest with you. Just have a hope from your home and just start mingling with the people and the youth that are along the roads. Go to the market, go to the station. You will find people are complaining everywhere. They have no political stamina where they can say that we are
So please do, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Wampundu. Thank you very much. You can reach us on 0973 045292 and 0974 808 115. Now that Mpundu has talked about the PF, maybe we can play the video by Honorable Given Lubinda. He was explaining how the PF lost, but let's take this call. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. Please welcome to the program. Tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Okay, my name is Chikota.
Mr. Chikota, yes. Your first name?
My name, we'll go with Mr. Chikota, that's specific.
Oh, Chikota. Okay, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from New York.
Or from New York? Okay, my brother. Please proceed to make your contribution. Hope we didn't lose Mr. Chikota.
Younger version of your phone.
Yes, yes, we can hear you.
And can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Yeah, you started a...
What do we do?
Sorry, I don't know what's going on.
No, Mr. Chikota, sorry. So what is happening is you are on data call and there is an ordinary call coming in. That's the interruption. But please proceed to talk. Oh my. Hello?
Yes, good evening, sir.
Good evening. Now you've put Mr. Chikota on hold. I would like to advise Mr. Chikota to call us on 0973045292 WhatsApp. 0973045292. My brother, introduce yourself and tell us your name.
Okay, my name is Espin Jonas Mchenje, calling you from Copper Belt in Ndola.
Espin?
Ndola.
Espin from Ndola, okay.
Edwin
from Ndola.
Yes, Edwin Simchenje.
Edwin Simuchenje. Edwin is fine. Please make your contribution.
Yes, first of all, I want to say that blessed...
Now we lost Mr. Hello? Oh, okay. Hello, good evening.
Hello, President Mwamba, or rather I call you...
Yes, please. Introduce yourself and where you are calling us from.
Beautiful. I'm calling you from Florida, USA.
Okay, thank you. And your name? What are we going to do now? First, let's cut Mr. Yeah, proceed.
What has actually happened? If I having opened the marketing season this time for maize,
yes.
What this really means is that it...
Okay, I think what we can do is just because
we have private people that have actually gone to places and have actually bought, crop farm before it is even harvested. Okay, and with the mistake that they made, failure to supply farming inputs on time and adequate. Is that whenever you mistake one farming season, for it to run a cycle, it requires 2 to 3 years to recover. So what is going to happen right now? 2024 But unfortunately, there are people that can't listen. You know, the mistake has already been made, but they're still trying to blame the previous government, you know, for the mistake that they have actually made, which is actually wrong. So we are really, we have a very big problem. For example, let's say this year they supply the on time and give to our farmers who are actually the local farmers are the people that actually supply most of the maize that we consume in the country. Commercial farmers, when they grow their maize, mostly they grow it to export. That's the way it is. But these seem to not really getting to understand these dynamics pertaining to our farming in our country. And yet they were claiming they were farmers that were going to manage the farming compared to the previous government. I want to give kudos to the PF government because we really had a baba harvest. This creation, it's actually reckless. It is the creation of the government, and the government not exported most of the maize. Wouldn't be experiencing this challenge that we have in our country. But this was created by them. I don't know for what purpose, for whatever reason. It doesn't make sense to everyone. This is total anarchy in our country. And my prayer is that you people as Patriotic Front, you know, would actually organize yourselves, because you are not dealing with a political party that values, you know, the nation in the first place. They have no respect for other political players. So if PF or other opposition parties think that UPND is going to treat them with kids' gloves, they are mistaken. They are dealing with, you are dealing with an ideology that is not willing to let go at whatever cost. They will do anything that they can do to make sure that they remain there. So it is time to stand up and stand up for the truth. Speak out. I have a lot of faith and respect for you, Ambassador. I've been following your politics. I've been following most of the things that you try to bring. But I think you need to get to a point where you call it as it is. Thank you so much, Ambassador.
Thank you. Thank you, our dear brother from Florida, USA, and thank you for your encouragement. Thank you very much. So the food insecurity we have, as explained by my brother from New York, the cycle to do recover is literally 2 to 3 years. Because this year, you have to run it. There's no maize, literally no maize. Whatever we get will probably be consumed quickly because of floods, poor distribution, and chaotic manner in which farmer input was done. Let me take another call. Good evening, and tell us where you are calling us from.
Yeah, hi. Okay, it's good. I'm coming back again.
Yes, please make your contribution. Mr. Chikota, from, you had said from the US.
Yeah, so I'm back. So I have, okay. Yeah, that's right. So I'll try to be quick. So Zambian median age is 17. A lot of the people in politics, whether in current government, previous government, we're all much older. So what are you doing to get the 24 years and under involved? Because I believe they're the majority of the Zambians, they're the majority of the voters, they're the majority that's getting affected. Anybody over 40 is in the minority. In Zambia, power is in the hands of the minority or the older ones. So what would it take for you, Mr. Ambassador Mwamba, to, as somebody who's, 24, to actually stand in your place to present your ideas and having adults of our age talking, because we're talking about, our failures of yesteryear and last year. Why don't you put the youth at the front of this debate? Because the youth are the ones that vote. What are you doing to put the youth in your place to actually listen to fellow youth, because we are the Zambians, right? They're the Zambians of tomorrow. I think in some cases we are fighting our failed battles in the past. We need to get the youth to fight battles that are coming ahead. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very
What
much.
are you saying about, getting the youth in your place to actually debate other than yourself?
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chikota from New York. He says, what are we doing about involving young people besides they are facing the biggest brunt of the current economic and social challenges? And they're the ones that swung the votes as young people. And you are right about that. I'll give you the statistics about young people. Good evening, and please tell us where you are calling us from.
Yes, I am Edwin Simchenje from Dollar Copper Belt, sir.
Sorry, we lost your number. We lost your call.
Yes.
Thank you,
Yes.
Mr. Edwin from Undola. Please make your contribution.
Yeah, first of all, I want to declare that blessed you are.
Thank you.
And secondly, that I want to advise you, keep on giving, advising the current government. And for me, I've been watching you and listening to your conversation. You have a knowledge concerning how to govern this nation. And secondly, you also talked about that this current government have taken opportunity to learn from all the six presidents who have governed this nation. Now, to my observation, one of the things that the new government need to do is to acknowledge whenever they are in error. They need to acknowledge whenever they are wrong, they need to accept. And they need also to learn from you who have been governing this nation. Then the other part I want also to advise the Patriotic Front. I compare Patriotic Front like David. God never rejected David during the time of Absalom, his son, rebel against him, whatever David did to Bathsheba. But God never rejected him until he restored him his kingdom. So God is going to restore Patriotic Front for his namesake. Mark point. One thing that you need to bear in your mind is this. The PF, they trusted the things rather than trusting God who gave the things that the people they are watching. So at this time, as you are coming to making all the program, trust in the Lord, He will make your path straight. And I believe, sir, you govern this nation in the fear of God. And many people will see that God really loves this nation, Zambia. May the Lord continue protecting you and all the people in Patriot Front, and also keep on advising the current government. To the UPND, please listen to the advice God is speaking through the people. May the Lord bless this nation in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen, Edwin from Ndola, Edwin Simuchenji. I'm grateful and thank you for your kind words towards me and towards the party that I belong to. Thank you. Yeah. So we move on to the next topic. We introduce the next topic. I think this one we will accept any cause. I think we've sufficiently laid the ground. Let's come to the public debt. Over the weekend, I challenged this government that you received $750 million, a concessional loan from the World Bank. And I said, you also received from this IMF bailout package $188 million. This brings to a total of $935 million, almost $1 billion. And my question is, what have you done with this money? You haven't pushed in any project that we are aware of. This is a lot of money. Remember when the PF got his first Eurobond of $750 million, there was a lot of public pressure for the PF to disclose what they will use the money for. And that debate has never gone away. People have always asked the PF, what did you use the money for? I have thrown back this question to the UPND government, to the New Dawn government. What have you used the $750 million that you were given? last year by the World Bank. I recognize it's a concessional loan. The interest rates could be almost be zero, but what have you done with it? And I haven't received an answer, and I'm throwing it out to you in the event that you know what they did with this $750 million and the $188 million that they received, bringing a total of almost $935 billion. The current debt is not, we're not sitting pretty. They found a debt, foreign debt of $12.9 billion plus the publicly guaranteed debt to state-owned enterprises of about $1.4 billion. So it was coming to almost about $13.914 billion. The foreign debt is standing at almost $18 billion. Partly, I'm told, because of, I was checking the literature, because of the interest and principal that we haven't been paying. Remember, since 2020, after Honorable Waryangandu negotiated what you call a default, it wasn't really a default. It's part of the debt suspension initiative, debt service suspension initiative, DSSI, under the G20 framework. So we haven't been paying our debt for the last 3 years, and I think it's supposed to end this year. If our debt restructuring program hasn't been resolved, we are going to have a crisis, because by the end of this year, this is the last year in which we are either supposed to begin to pay our debts or enjoy the debt cancellation, debt reschedule, or debt forgiveness. Debt restructuring is not very simple. Many people remember what happened under President Mwanawasa. The HIPIC program, highly indebted poor country program, to cancel our debt for third world, started in 1999. President Chiluba launched it in 2000, and it came to finish almost
Mwamba Emmanuel.
So, sorry about that. My microphone just fell, but wanted to ensure that you are listening and you are listening to me. We were saying, oh, we have a caller here. Let's answer this call. Good evening. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Yes, good evening, Ambassador Mwamba.
Good evening, my dear brother.
My name is Kasonga from Toronto, Canada.
Okay, Kasongo from Toronto, Canada. Wonderful. Please make your contribution, my brother.
Yes, very glad about your your position in trying to fill up the gaps in terms of checks and balances.
Thank you.
As the opposition leader, it's something we want to commend you on. But, you know, as the saying goes, you can't trust a politician other than trust a politician to be a politician. What I mean by that is, as an aspiring candidate, what are you doing in terms of maneuvering, consolidating your spheres of interest, of influence among the youth, and filling up the gap that we see lacking in the current government? Because we know we've come to the realization that they're actually not the economic panacea that Zambians were expecting. And the approach we have right now, it's more a bit of trying to keep the Zambians, you know, warm or above these heavy pause of restructuring, subsidy removals, when we don't have a platform like an umbrella in where you can reclaim your position you had as a leaders of this nation. And I see the desire to seek to expose the flaws of the opposition, to publicize them, deride. I see it as a disease because it's not really helping the challenges that we currently face. Because these are the dismissible challenges that we have had previously, and they failed to address them.
Okay.
But what I want your proper stance and saying, what for over a year, there's been a vacuum of consolidated opposition to do the checks and balances. And we still see the legal wrangles running in PF. What are you guys doing to come up with a living manifesto that will come and help the Zambians? So why don't we take this in regard to it?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Kasongo.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Kasongo from Toronto, Canada. And is asking, what are we doing as the opposition? What activities are you doing? There's a vacuum in the opposition, in the Patriotic Front and in the rest. And what proper stance have we taken to do our politics differently? Kasongo, first of all, is things like this. For me, I want a debate on national issues and on proposed solutions. The politics of insults, for me, are outside my realm. I think, first of all, we need to pin down government on proper, credible checks and balances, expose the mistakes they are making, and even propose solutions. I hope that as many people become aware of what we are trying to do, they will see that there is a new trend of politics. Politics, not politics of deception, politics of lies, politics of malice and insults. For me, I want to foster national debate about our issues. They bangle, they mangle, they go haywire. It's our country and your future and my future that is at stake. So what do we do to reclaim our country? First, let's foster a credible debate. Good evening. Tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Oh, we lost the caller. Sorry. And we have someone who's been calling on the other number. I'm sorry. Please call back. The numbers are now free. I was talking about our debt, that our debt, foreign debt, is sitting at $18 billion. Total public debt, meaning domestic debt, arrears, is sitting at $32 billion. You are always told that the PF left a debt, but they've also accumulated a huge debt, both local and external debt. And I've just demonstrated the PF left the debt at $12.9 billion foreign debt, and now it's sitting at almost $18 billion. So we are currently going through a debt restructuring as proposed by the IMF. The IMF ensured that we set up a creditors committee where all creditors were under one basket. It's chaired by France, representing the Paris Club and multilateral institutions, and China. China is our biggest, single largest creditor, I think with a debt of about $6 billion. There have been issues for almost 2 years. The creditors committee are just beginning to get to the basic parameters where an MOU will be issued for financial assurances. Then the IMF Executive Board will approve and release $1.3 billion. When this was signed in 2021, December 2021, there was a lot of celebration by the UPND. They thought that the $1.3 billion would come just the following month or the following year. In fact, Honorable Situmbeko Msokotwane proceeded to even include it in the 2022 national budget. That money never came. Hello, good evening, and tell us where you are calling us from and make your contribution.
Good evening, Mr. Tembo. I'm calling from Ufrida.
Oh, Moses Tembo, welcome once again.
Yeah, thank you. So, on the issue of debt now, I'm enjoying this program way to Z. Don't mind me anyway.
It's your program, Moses. It's your program.
Thank you. So, what I'm trying to say, what I want to say is this: is that you see, I was listening to Dr. Waryangandu some time back. He said there are two things to develop the country. If you don't have money, it's either you borrow or you use your own equity. So borrowing was not necessary considering the infrastructure gap that we had as a country. Okay? And from my understanding, most of the money that the PF government borrowed was such that when they borrow this money, they invest in a piece of infrastructure that will later on pay back for itself. I can highlight the Kafue Gorge Low Hydro Power Station. I can talk about this what do you call this place, the Simon Mwansaka Airport, and several other projects. Most of them will pay back for themselves in the long run. So when I sit down and look at what the UPND government says to say they overborrowed, they damaged our country and stuff like that, to me that doesn't make a lot of sense. And besides, when we look at the whole world, which country would you point at and say this country hasn't got debt? Because the United States owes money China. Britain has got debt. This country debt. That country debt. So for us, the way I understand it, even if we just get the Kafue Gorge Low Hydro Power Station alone, it can still help us to service most of the debt in the long run. Am I right or wrong? I don't know. That's my understanding.
I'll answer you quickly.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we need to, the current government needs to sit down and understand the composition of this debt and where the money went. You get my point?
Yes.
From the way they talk and they come out on public platforms and international platforms, it's like they don't really know where the money went. You get my point? So let them sit down and get to understand these details. A to Z. You will find that, and then couple that with the resources that we have in our backyard. Then we will appreciate these things. You get my point? So that's what I can say. I would have said, I want to say more, but I'm losing thought as I speak to bring out certain points.
Thank you. No, Moses, I think when you contributed on Friday, you made it very clear. You made it very clear that this country has local resources, and debt should just complement what we can raise. I remember your thoughts last time.
Absolutely, yeah. So I want to, because this is the only platform that gives me an opportunity as a Zambian, to be honest with you, to speak out my mind.
Oh, you are welcome. This is a
That's why I'm following closely, because I've got a lot to say about my country, but to where?
Yes. No, this is what, that's why we call it the brief. We call it a brief for credible analysis and comment and solutions that can be done for this country. Yeah. Thank you. I'm very grateful and listening to my answers.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Welcome.
I always face this question: the PF borrowed recklessly, and I always answer back that the goodness with the debt by the PF is you can put every dollar to where it went. It's not like in their case where they borrowed $750 million last year, and I can't find where they spent it, $750 million. With the PF, for example, you will see where the $2.1 billion went to Kafue Gorge. You will see the expansion programs that were done early on Kariba Dam, Kariba North Bank. You will see the expansion that was done to Iteji. You will see that we had 1,600 megawatts as our generation capacity as a country. 10 years later, you are sitting at 3,600 megawatts and a huge expansion of 2,000 megawatts. And you can see where the money went. When you say $400 million the PF bought, you can link it to Mwamba Dam. When you say they borrowed $280 million for the Lusaka decongestion project, you can see the widened roads in Lusaka, the street lights and the drainages. When you see the money that came from Millennium Challenge account from the US, you will see where it went, on the so-called Bombay project. The goodness with the PF debt is you can pin it to the road, to the bridge, to the school, to the hospital, to the small hydros, to the big hydros, to the international airports. You can see where the money went. But for politics, they'll just say they borrowed carelessly. They will say the PF have just put us in this debt. So I think, Moses, that would be my answer. So currently, let's just trace back where we are with the IMF. When Honorable Margaret Manakatwe took over, I think that was in 2017, after Honorable Felix Mutati. Oh, by the way, Felix Mutati, people keep on saying, Emmanuel Mwamba, you've been in government, leka kwa ba new. Ndabeba, basi Tumbeko Msokotwana has saved nearly every government. Felix Mutati has been minister in the MMD and he was our minister of finance, is the current minister in this government. Mtalena Lumango was minister in the MMD, she's minister now. What you bring is experience. And I was privileged to hold very senior positions at a young age, and I bring this experience to you. So that briefly just to those are answers. But here it is. 2017, Margaret Manakatwe takes over from Felix Mutati. And the IMF program is highly engaged. The IMF is worried about our debt. So she commissions a project together with the IMF and World Bank for debt sustainability analysis. What is our debt? How much is it? Can there be full disclosure? You saw that our foreign debt immediately was revised from 4 billion to 6 billion to 7 billion. And by 2019, our foreign debt was sitting at $9 billion. Full disclosure was done. And when the debt sustainability analysis was done in 2019, there was a discussion that we need to restructure this debt. First, there were various measures. Number one was that by 2013, when the PF got the first Euro bond in 2012, of $750 million, there was a plan on how to repay this debt. And the PF said they would do a sinking fund and they'll be saving every year. By 2019, there was no such savings. So Margaret Manakatwe began again the issue of a sinking fund that should prepare us when the bullet payment of $750 million would be due in 2022. We needed to pay the principal plus interest of the first Eurobond. Because remember, the Eurobonds are 10 years. So we engaged in a debt restructuring. The debt restructuring, I must emphasize, didn't start with Dr. Situmbeko Msokotwane. No, it started in 2019. Government decided to hire Lazard. You remember the international company from France, Lazard, to begin to speak to our bondholders and to the Eurobond managers that probably we should begin to engage and reschedule the bullet payments that were due in 2022, 2024, and 2025. For the debt with China, we began a program to engage China at bilateral level. Look at the funds that were piped, approved loans. I think there was a decision to suspend those in 2019. Programs that were below 80%, projects that were below 80% were also suspended. And so two structures. One, with Lazard to speak to our bondholders. Secondly, a bilateral engagement with China. And when this government came over, they said, no, we'll go with the IMF program. There's a G20 debt treatment framework that we should follow. And that is the one they followed, which groups all creditors in one basket. It's chaired by France, by China, and the vice chair is South Africa. It has begun its work. There have been many issues. Remember, this debt is different from the debt with the HIPIC debt that we had in the 90s, and that culminated in a write-off in 2005. This debt, the HIPIC debt was owned by countries, sovereign. It was sovereign debt, so we owed countries. This debt is different. For example, the Eurobond, the $3 billion plus interest, is owed to private investors, private savers, private pensioners, people that just save and invest in the market. The Paris Club, which then holds multinationals, EU, Africa Development Bank, IMF and World Bank, again the debt there is again to multilateral institutions. This is almost private. The debt with China, the bulk of it, over I think about $5.9 billion, is with private banks in China, Exim Bank and Development Bank. We have leverage with China if we engaged in bilateral negotiations, because it's very simple. China owns the economy. They owns all those institutions, the banks, the development banks are all owned by China. So you can have leverage. We've always said, I have always said, Mr. President, jump on that plane, go to China, go and negotiate that debt. So we are currently a debtor country. Our citizens are concerned. The creditors themselves are concerned. Our official sector sponsors like IMF and World Bank, and you saw they came here and they've been issuing statements. They are also concerned. Currently, our normal activities for the economy are delayed. They are literally on standstill because Dr. Msokotwane, is waiting for these projects to be done. So it affects our credit market access, it affects our trade, finance, it affects our financial sector. That's why you see our kwacha is going up yo-yo. It appreciated last year. It appreciated last week. This week, just today, it jumped from 17.1 to 17.6. And especially without the support of exports, without the support of if we are to return receipts from the mines when they export. Remember that our mines are owned by the private sectors. Although we export up to 70% of our exports come from the mining sector, copper and other minerals. But they retain this money. The figures only report to Bank of Zambia, not the actual money. They'll send you money for recurrent expenditures and wages, personal emoluments. But the bulk of their profits, they bank it in Switzerland, but they bank it in wherever they bank it. So we have that challenge with the current IMF program. And I will go briefly to NAPSA. What's happening to NAPSA? What is happening to NAPSA? NAPSA has put up a counter of how much they are paying, and there's an update every day. The counter on Friday showed that they had paid 27 people. And mathematicians even went to great extent that if NAPSA intends to pay 600,000 people, and they're supposed to pay them $650 million, and by Friday they had only paid 27 people, it will take 44,442 days, which is 3,700 years for NAPSA to finish. I thought that was remarkable. But look at the counter by NAPSA. As at today, 2,376 persons have been paid, and they've paid 97 million kwacha. You can see the counter for NAPSA, the NAPSA counter. This 97.1 million kwacha translates to $5 million. $5 million out of $650 million. So I'd like to hear from you. What has been the issues? I'm a member of, I've been a worker my life. I even benefited from the early amount by NPF, where you could access some payment if you were a previous holder. I think I publicized it on my pages, social media pages on last year in December. The application, and I think the managers of this application, they ran the NAPSA site. It's chaotic also there. So this particular service provider must pay attention. That's my experience. The NAPSA application, usually comes up and down, and they're the same ones that are managing the NAPSA application. And applications are hanging. You are told to respond, or that they'll get back to you by the following day, and it's taking long. And by the time you come back to, it's been 3, 4, 5 days, and there are a lot of anxieties by our people with NAPSA that the process is taking too long. The response is poor. The program is not updating. Apparently, there are even about 2 sites. The information remains inadequate. I think NAPSA needs to begin to pay attention. So, call us on these 2 issues. 0973-045292, 0974-808-115. The issue of public debt and the restructuring program that is being done by government, and update on NAPSA. What have been the issues? What have you experienced? There was a caller from Chinsali who said, how many people will this program benefit? 600,000. Remember, our economy is highly informal. The bulk of about 7-8 million of our people are unemployed, or they're employed in the informal sector. So call us on 0973-045292 or 0974-808-115. Yeah. I thought we had the caller. Yeah. So I was saying for debt restructuring, if it takes long, it affects our people. It affects the economy. Let me take this call. Good evening, and tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Hello?
Good evening, tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Good evening, Mr. Mwamba. How are you, Honorable?
I'm very well, thank you.
This is Mr. Musonda calling you from Kitwe.
Thank you, Mr. Musonda. Please proceed with your contribution.
I wanted just to find out if you have any information with NAPSA, because we have issues like when they send a message, you try to log in, and you see that there is something written there, employment history. But you try to go there, no response. Even in themselves, they are saying, no, we have an issue. The issue is the network. I don't know how they are going to sort out this issue.
Yeah.
How can you help us?
Thank you very much. I saw those queues, those NAPSA queues in Lusaka, in Kitwe. I think they should be coming on your issue. I have personally applied, and I've seen the part after you put your names, it comes green. You know, then you begin to put your.
There are a lot of people